right, everybody. We got another episode here at Full Throttle Leaders. We got Warren Zenna of the CRO Collective. Hey, Warren, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, Mike, thanks for having me. Appreciate this.
No worries. Tell me a little bit about the CRO Collective and then about your journey, how you built this whole collective up.
Sure. We are the only revenue consultancy that focuses only on chief revenue officers. So there may be other organizations that include them.
Uh-huh.
We're the only ones that focus only on them. When I say that, I mean that role specifically, its importance in the revenue ecosystem, how the role is defined, how the role is deployed, how the role is managed, the scope of the role, and how the organization actually utilizes a CRO to bring about the value. And so we do it through a number of different ways. And the whole purpose behind the entire venture was to solve a problem, which is that the role has been traditionally misdefined,
Hmm.
a lot of different versions and opinions about what the role is. Traditionally, it was always a sales focused role for many years, and it shouldn't be. And CROs are lasting on average around 17 to 18 months, and it's a crisis for this role. It's unfortunate because it's a very important one. And if I would say, maybe biased a bit, but I have a lot of evidence to say this, it's the most important role in the revenue stack, and it's not being leveraged properly. So we fix that. We have a whole bunch of different ways we do it.
Can you give me a little bit of understanding how do you do it? How do you fix it?
Sure. Yeah, sure. So the first part is, bringing just general uh, codification, as it were, of the roles definition. So we're like sort of like I don't know, we've sort of become sort of like an authority on that to some degree.
Hmm.
People ask me a lot, what does the CRO do? So by creating and establishing authority around that, we've helped to establish a lot more understanding of what the role is. And what I mean by that is it's a leadership role, it's a system builder role. It's not a sales function role.
Hmm.
It's not a function. It is a builder, architect of the revenue operation, right? So a CRO is designed to come into an organization to not run the system that they CRO inherits, but to actually have a hand in rebuilding or building the system that works.
Hmm.
And so by doing so, that person needs to have authority, autonomy, resources, and runway in order to be able to do that. And that's what a CRO should know how to do and what a CRO should be pointed to. That's one thing. And next, we train people to do that, right? So we have the only CRO focused course. We started the first CRO course, by the way, our program.
Awesome.
And so we help CROs kind of understand this and help them navigate the very complex problems that come with the role, how to survive the role, how to get the role properly, how to get themselves set up in the role properly from day one so that they actually succeed. And then on the other side, we also help companies become CRO ready, which the other problem is the company. The company, even when they hire great CROs, they screw it up and they usually end up not appointing them properly because they're not ready for one. So we help companies become ready for a CRO through a series of diagnostics and analysis, and then process analysis. And then we actually help build that architecture for the company to help them establish more of a environment that's ready for a chief revenue officer to succeed in. So we kind of cap both sides of the plate, as it were.
And when do you hire a CRO? I mean, you have AEs, SDRs, VPs of sales. I mean, some
It's interesting,
people
right?
hire,
Everything you just said is all sales roles. You notice that?
right, and they're not.
So why? So you're already, your brain is already thinking about this from a sales perspective only, right? So this
Yep,
is exactly your answer to me is exactly the disease I'm trying to solve, right?
yep,
It's like
yep. I
all you're
just caught
thinking about is
myself. Yeah,
pipeline,
I just caught
right?
myself there
So
too.
it's like this is exactly the stuff that I'm thinking about, right? Those people have no business doing this job many times.
Yeah, because it's because
They're not even the right people for this job
because
many
CRO
times.
covers marketing and everything in revenue.
Everything,
Yeah.
all retention, growth, expansion, pipeline, acquisition, profitability,
Hmm.
margin, right? Marketing, positioning, whole thing,
Yeah.
soup to nuts.
And what do you recommend a company that just raised a seed round or Series A
How much
focus?
money?
I'd say average seed round is, and correct me if I'm wrong, because this is more your space than
Okay, no,
mine.
you tell me. What are you
I would
thinking?
say
Give me the
I would say
scenario.
1.5 to 3 million is a seed round.
They're not ready for one yet. Not
Yeah.
even close.
Yeah.
I mean, they shouldn't be hiring a CRO until they're well over 25, 30 million in revenues. That's
Okay.
when you need someone like that. I mean, I've seen it done sooner. I mean, there's a lot of people listening to this who are going, are you kidding me, man? I'm a CRO and I'm in a $5 million company.
Yeah.
I get it. And, and it's not no insult. I don't mean it to be rude. I'm just saying my suspicion, and I'm usually right. I have these conversations 20 times a week. Most CROs when I speak to who are in companies under 15 or 20 million, they're running sales organizations because that's what's needed at that stage. You're still trying to get off the ground, all hands on deck. The CEO is probably selling, everyone's selling, which makes sense. So if I bring in a CRO at that stage, what are they going to do? They're going to build a revenue engine? No, they're going to sell. So the problem is that, that's too early for the role that I just described. You need to have an organization that's probably in like more like a B round, like like a series B or C round. They get like 15, 20 million or something like that. And they're actually on their way to maybe being closer to 50 million in revenues. Now you've got a complex enough organization where a CRO can actually do all the things I described before. And more importantly, that's when the company needs somebody like that to actually wrangle the organization into more of a repetitive system that got it to the place that it is today. Most companies can't continue to operate the same way when they grow at those stages. They have to change. So you need a change agent who has the competencies to know how to build an organization from more of like the, let's say, startup to more of a growth stage organization. That's when CROs should be hired.
Do you see a lot of, I guess the word would be headbutting of CROs and CMOs when
All the
they're,
time, they
yeah,
hate each other.
yeah,
And it's a big problem because what happens is most CMOs are, in my opinion, if I may be, respectful here, they're promoted too soon. They get the CMO title and the company's at like, 5 million or something like that. Marketing in the B2B space is a very weird animal because marketing, it was traditionally a consumer facing endeavor, right? Nike, P&G, Adidas,
yeah.
foods, products, packaged goods. This is where marketing really shines. Those are marketing driven businesses, right? And CMOs and those companies are extraordinarily valuable. You need someone that really understands how to motivate people in the marketplace to consider a product. Whereas in the B2B space, it's a sales driven organization, even a product led organization. And marketing is more of a measurement tool. It's not right. I'm not saying that's correct. That's just what's happened. So now, if I have somebody who's running a marketing organization at a B2B company, they are a function of revenue. They are not a engine towards growth, right? And
Hmm.
they should be folded into the revenue organization properly and not be separated out because that's when you have a breakdown between two ways in which two different organizations measure outcomes. One is measuring leads and lead quality, and the other one is measuring closing and deals in pipeline. And those are not the same thing. They're parts of a whole. And if I'm a revenue leader, I'm going to look at both of those two things as parts of an engine, not two separate pieces. And if I have two C-suite leaders running each one of those, now I've got a chief carburetor officer and a chief muffler organization, and that doesn't make any sense to have two parts in your engine having two chiefs in front of it. So you really need to sort of understand the re-architecture of an organization today. It needs to collapse the old traditional C-suite models that we use to advance people through an organization, but it had very little to do with the way revenue is generated in a B2B business. So it's a different model.
Almost sounds like a VP of marketing should be reporting to the CRO and not
That's
having a
exactly how
CMO.
it should be. So the CRO should have a head of marketing, a head of sales, a head of customer success retention,
Mm-hmm.
and probably someone on RevOps, and maybe even someone who's connected to the product team. That should be that revenue. That should be the team that the CRO oversees.
Makes sense. Now, tell me a little bit about your background with Publicis and Havas, right?
Havas.
Havas, and how that kind of shaped you as where you're at today.
I mean, it's an interesting question. So, uh, because of my age, you and I both are gray-haired men.
Hey,
So,
hey,
hey, what are you gonna do? It's true.
hey.
It is what it is, man. So, I was lucky, and you were lucky in that, we both grew up at a time before a lot of the amazing technologies that we use today were around, right? I mean, in the
Yeah,
90s, we
beaver.
didn't really have mobile phones. We all hung out at bars and actually talked to each other.
Yeah,
And, what happened was, when the internet came out in, late 2000, 1999, 1998, I was right there. I was working when there was such thing as the internet, and the first browser. And so, it's fascinating for me because I was really interested in technology and selling things that were new.
Mm.
I like to be in front of new things. So I was like really involved a lot in the internet when it first came out, selling a lot of creative services. And then I was in the agency space because I was selling marketing services primarily, not for a choice, just happened. Didn't really, didn't make a decision. Someone hired me to sell marketing and I stuck with it. So what ended up happening was when the iPhone came out, I knew that this phone, this just incredible piece of technology, was going to become the new way that everybody conducted business and communicated. And there was a guy who was running a mobile agency at Publicis. The company got purchased by Publicis. It was the first mobile agency within one of the holding companies in the U.S. And I got like the second or third job there. So I ended up working for them. At the time, we were just building applications. And at the time, imagine this, iPhone applications could cost like, $5, $10 million to build. It's crazy. And so, we were selling all these things. And it actually turned out that what our clients wanted, this is, I may say, a discovery I kind of found after about a year of selling this stuff. Our clients really didn't want apps. What they really wanted was they wanted to understand mobility. They wanted to know how their companies could become mobile first organizations. They were all desktop and, computer based
Mobile
businesses.
ready is what we called it, right? Yeah.
Everything, right? So it was a very, very big thing. And so we became a consulting company. We actually sold thinking and consulting and transformation to big corporations like Bank of America, L'Oreal, Microsoft. We
Mm.
help them migrate their business dynamics from desktop modalities into the mobile context. And it was really good business. We built this big business. And so it got really cool. I got involved in a lot of understanding of all these different ecosystem around this stuff. And then from there, I left, Publicis, they ended up absorbing that company into another group and I left, started working for some other companies. And then I got hired at Havas to run their mobile marketing agency, which was an internal agency at Havas. And they had like a focus at the time on building mobile and a mobile advertising business, right? Because people were, at the time, it's sort of become all one big blob. But at the time, there was a difference between like getting an ad on your desktop and getting an ad on your phone, right?
Yeah.
And so
Five.
delivering and deploying ads to mobile devices became a very interesting concept. There's new technologies for it, different types of measurement, particularly in the areas of location-based marketing and location-based data. And so we built a big business there where we focused specifically on helping clients buy mobile user data and inventory, and then purchasing advertising allocations on mobile data to reach people when they were on their phones. And I built that business. And at the time, that's when the ad tech community became huge. It was like 2014 or 15 when like it was the heyday of ad tech. It was like all this money floating around, a lot of money flowing through the ad tech system. And I was a buyer because now I had a big budget because I had to buy the services of all these ad tech companies to help me build the business I was creating at Havas. So I became a buyer. And now all these tech guys are coming and selling to me their mobile, ad tech services. And I became very, ensconced in that whole space and learned a lot about it. And this is where I started to formulate this idea because I started seeing the way people were selling and I saw how it was all broken and that this CRO was like this sort of weird nebulous role. And I thought, this doesn't make any sense. So around 2019, I was like, I'm going to help create a business that will solve what I see as a problem on the customer side. And that was how it formulated.
So the CRO Collective is your basically group of people that are CROs, and you're basically connecting them. Tell us a little bit about that CRO Collective approach that you
Sure, sure.
do. Yeah.
So, essentially, kind of, I mean, we're not a membership
Okay.
type,
Yeah.
business. We don't have like fees that people pay to be part of something. Um, there's reasons for that, and I don't want to get into, but it's just a sort of a choice for various reasons. But it's really more, CROs do have a very unique job. They have a very unique problem, a very similar common issue they have. Um, they suffer from all the things that I mentioned at the beginning of this conversation, which are
Yeah.
things like, what do we do, and why does my boss know what I do, and all the stuff that goes
Yeah.
into it. It can get kind of complex. And one of the first things we thought was, well, CROs need a home. They need a place, right? I mean, there's plenty of CMO associations and CTO associations and CEO
Hmm.
associations, but there was no CRO association, which I thought was kind of preposterous. So that was one thing, was to bring together a place where CROs can talk to each other and learn from each other and collaborate and learn. And then we formulated the idea that we would kind of graduate these people through a program where they would become competent in chief revenue officer principles and how to kind of transform themselves from sales leaders into these more, you know, complex architects.
Hmm.
And then create events. We have CRO roundtables. We do about 10 a year across the country, and those are small groups of CROs who talk, in a conversation that we've sort of organized, and we in a certain format that we created that engages a really amazing conversation between them all. And they're all formulated around the principles that the CRO Collective has espoused and gives them kind of a sense of community and home and education. And those things tend to ladder up to, I want to do your course, I want to be one of your clients. We have a CRO in transition program where some CRO is like, I just left my job. It was a really crappy situation. I got fired or I quit and I'm looking for my next one. I don't want that to happen again. We have an incredible program for those people to transfer
Hmm.
from that role into their next one really successfully. And we do that.
Hmm.
And then we have the CEO, which is the CRO readiness program, which is for the company that hires them to make sure that they're looking for the right person with the right competencies and they know how to diagnose the right person and how to place that person properly and know the kind of authorities that person needs and how the organization needs to be set up so that that person's successful. So we have all this sort of ecosystem around the role to make sure that the role is successful.
So it sounds like the revenue model is consulting, um,
Education,
services,
consulting, sponsorships, and coaching and advising.
coaching. And what's one or two tactics, strategies, thoughts, ideas, failures, or achievements that you're like, that was incredible. I want to repeat that, or that was a big no-no, and I don't want to have people that are listening follow that footstep. Maybe
Um,
within the last couple months
no,
or
no,
last
it's
year.
a no, it's a good question. I'm
Yeah.
thinking about. I like it. It's a great question. I mean, I think one of the first things is the good thing was I said, fuck it, I'm doing this. Like I didn't wait.
Yeah.
I just went for it. I just started putting out content. I was very clear what I wanted to do, and I didn't wait for everything to be perfect.
No,
I just
entrepreneurs
did
don't
it,
do that.
and it was against my grain, like my nature is to want to get everything right before I do something, and I typically find that's probably a way for me to avoid doing things. It's like think about how good I want it to be, so I don't do it.
Yeah.
But in this
I'm
case,
fixing to get ready, right? I'm fixing. Just
yeah, I
do it.
make exactly, and
Or
I
you
know
you
that I
say you do or you don't. There is no try.
yeah, you have to just do it, right? And
Yeah.
so I put it out there, and what I did was I had an idea and I put together a curriculum. I really just spent a lot of time on this. I didn't really gotta
No
say.
AI back then.
No, I did this all from
Yeah.
my hand, it's all in my head, and I produced really good content.
Yeah.
And I did a lot of research. I spoke to hundreds of people. I mean, I went around speaking to everybody and believe me, it's a pretty big group of people that are smarter than me, so it wasn't too hard to find that. And I found a lot of people who were really, really smart in revenue. And I went to them. I said, "Look, this is what I'm trying to do. What do you think of this?"
Hmm.
I asked. I got to say, probably 100 people I really look up to, and they all said, this makes a lot of sense. Yeah, this is a good idea. Yep, this is needed."
Okay.
So I sort of validated, what I was doing by asking people that were smarter than me. And I think throughout the entire time I ran this thing, I always have this idea that yes, I'm a pretty smart guy. I understand this stuff. But there are so many people that are a lot smarter than me, and I want them to work with me, and I want to work with people who are a lot smarter than me, so that I learn more, and that I'm always having better around me. I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. So the people I work with tend to be really, really super smart in the areas they're in. And in fact, another thing that I did that I really advise people to do is to figure out that, like, what is it that you're good at, and what is it that you're really not good at, and try and do the thing you're good at most of the time, and the things you're not good at, give it to somebody else to do because you're not good at it. And I see a lot of people wasting their time trying to do things they're not good at. And I think that you could get better at it, but why not find someone that's the
Yeah.
best at that? And you do the thing that you're the best at, and then you'll have a better thing.
They've
So that's
already
something that I
they've
is good.
already failed. They've already failed at that, and they're good at it. So why would you
Exactly.
like same thing with like the lead gen approach? Right? I'm like, why are you gonna hire a 20-year-old kid to do sales development work, and so you can hire someone that's been doing this for 30 years? Just like,
Yeah, it's kind of a question of components and functions, right? So if I'm a pitcher or I'm a batter, right? There's multiple parts of swinging a baseball bat. It's not just swinging a bat, right?
I
There's
used to play
leg
for
position,
my
there's hip
professional.
position, right? There's body position, there's a whole series, even a golf swing, right? There's probably like a whole bunch of mechanics. So if you're playing golf, someone can say to you, "Hey, you're really good at like your top swing, but you're really bad at your backswing." Right? So those pieces, you do need to work on your weaknesses because if you want to get the whole motion, you got to break it up into parts.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like a function. Like if you're going to go out and you're going to be good at something, like let's say for example, I'm really good at throwing a football and eyeing the ball and being able to throw it to people, then why would I need to learn how to be a linebacker? Like it's not related to the mechanics of what I'm trying to do. So I'm not going to do that. Someone comes to me and go, well, you're really good at quarterbacking, but you don't know much about linebacking. I know, schmuck, that's his job. I don't do that. Right. So I think there's a difference between mechanics and functions. And I think you have to find out the function that you're designed for and be really good at that function
Mhm.
and not try and do all these functions. It's probably not
Yeah.
a really good idea. So anyway.
So who's a good ideal customer profile for you to get a hold of you, and how do they get a hold of you?
I'm mostly my most place to find me is on LinkedIn. I'm there a lot. I do a monstrous amount of content on that platform every day. Certainly, probably once a day at least. I do something on that, whether it be a post or a comment or two or more.
Mhm.
I also have a podcast called the CRO Spotlight Podcast, which is pretty popular now. Got about 100 episodes we've done with some great people. Got some amazing guests lined up in the last next month. I mean, really, the kind of people that now are coming on my show. It's really amazing. Really accomplished like luminaries are coming on, and it's really cool. And then, just yesterday, I launched my first issue of a newsletter called the CRO Fix. It's on Substack. There's only one issue in it, but it's good to go because we're going to be doing one every couple of weeks. You can DM me on LinkedIn. You can go to my website, thecrocollective.com.
Okay.
There we have all the list of all the events that we're doing this year. So if you're a CRO and you're operating at a business over 50 million, you should come to those events.
Awesome.
And if you're a company that wants to get in front of CROs, you should sponsor those events. They're really, really good. Um, and then if you're a CRO and you're looking for help, you can apply for our CRO course.
Mhm.
Everything's all available on the court on the line, CRO Collective, thecrocollective.com, and that's the best way to get a hold of me.
And what like the and on the course idea, what's the investment for someone that wants to take the course, or is it
Yes,
kind of a complicated question because
yeah,
there's a lot.
it's a 50, it's okay, it's fine. It's a 15-week course and it's $6,800. It's a
Okay.
small investment for the amount of
Yeah.
value you get.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like a master's degree course level, what we do, and it's like half the price of what you get. You have to pay one of the big universities. We do a really
Yeah.
good job. So I suggest it.
Cool. Well, I'm sorry, thanks for coming on my show,
Yeah,
and I look forward to keeping in touch. And
I appreciate it, Mike.
everybody should reach out to Warren. He's a guy he has over 15,000 connections and very well respected in the space. And feel free to reach out to Michael Falato about lead generation. We'll talk soon. Thanks.
Mike, thanks so much. It was a great conversation. Appreciate it.
Thanks.